94. At the beginning of the 1994 season, the only fully works team in the French Touring Car Championship, the Supertourisme as it's known, was the Peugeot team, run from the factory, all the other teams competing being run by teams with works support. Two top drivers in the Peugeot team as well, Yannick Dalmas, former Grand Prix driver, and sharing the World Sports Car Champion title with Derek Warwick back in 1992, and his teammate Laurent Aïello, who's come from a background of karting championships, winning the Monaco Formula 3 race and a couple of seasons in Formula 3000 as well. Well, the first round started well with Dalmas on the first pole position. Jean-Pierre Jabouille from Peugeot saying practice was perfect. Aiello got the best time in the wet, and Dalmas has now had the best time in the dry. Certainly up to now we're very satisfied, but the important thing is now to win the race. Well, things were to go very well for Jean-Pierre Jabouille and the rest of the Peugeot team. From the first round here in Nogaro right through to Le Vigeon round 6, Peugeots will win 11 out of 12 individual races and go on to win the first 6 rounds overall. Each round of the French Supertourisme is made up of 2 individual heats, if you like, and the results from each heat are then added together to give us the overall result. Well, Peugeot certainly started the season in fine style, and the fastest to start off with was Laurent Aïello. He won 8 separate races and won 4 rounds overall. He was also unlucky though, with a variety of mechanical problems which helped to drop him back in the overall championship. And it meant as they came to the mid-season, it was his teammate Yannick Dalmas who was actually enjoying the championship lead. Dalmas won in Nogaro and in Dijon as well, and was very consistent, having no mechanical failures to cost him points. 5 out of 6 finishes were on the podium. So by the mid-season point, Yannick Dalmas had just a 2-point lead with 132 points to Laurent Aïello on 130, and the next nearest was Cudini with 102. Well, after that, the championship then suddenly changed. Round 7 and 8 at Croix-en-Tournois and at Le Castellet, the Paul Ricard circuit that we're seeing here, Peugeot were beaten. Aiello couldn't do any better than a 2nd and a 3rd place in those 2 events, but still doing okay in the championship, and in fact was able to take the championship lead from his teammate Yannick Dalmas. But the problem's certainly there now, and it got even worse in Albi, round 9 of the championship, where Opel dominated proceedings and Peugeot were in big trouble. For the first time at this event at Albi, there were no Peugeot drivers on the podium at the end of it all. Well, at Le Mans, there was 10th round, Laurent Aïello won again, but in Montlhéry, for round 11, he would have more problems. It was very much an up-and-down season for him, but as they went into the final round, Aiello still had a 12-point advantage over Cudini and his Opel. The last round of the championship held at Lebanon, and in fact it proved to be an excellent weekend for Peugeot. After the bit of a scare that they had in the latter part of the year, Aiello was able to take pole position and then come through to take the victory and take his first ever title in any form of racing. Aiello the champion, Dalmas 4th in the series, and Peugeot is the Constructors' champion. So an excellent season, starting off well, getting a little bit out of sorts mid-season, but coming back well for the Peugeot team at the end of the year. Well, the mechanics certainly worked hard to bring the success to the Peugeot team, and it was a good effort from the works outfit. Next year, of course, Yannick Dalmas is going into the German Touring Car Championship with Opel, in fact, and he'll be racing one of the 4-wheel drive Opel Calibras. Well, Opel themselves finished second in the Constructors' Championship in the French Supertourisme series. The Danny Snowbeck run team starting a little bit late with their programme and therefore losing out in the early stages of the year. Alain Cudini, one of their drivers, very, very experienced, with various production saloon titles behind him in France, as well as rallying and Le Mans experience as well. Jacques Lafitte was the popular Frenchman, joined in as the third driver to the team, and Eric Hellery as well, a very successful part of the trio. But mechanical problems causing them trouble. Cudini losing the lead at Nogaro with a broken distributor, and then out again in Pau after he'd won the first of the two races with a broken accelerator pedal. It just seemed that Opel could not climb that top step of the podium. Nevertheless, at Pau, a good result for Jacques Lafitte, the ex-Grand Prix driver, who managed to take pole position. And certainly the fortunes for the Opel team were looking up. It justifies the investment made on my name. He says, I show people that even if I'm 50 years old, I'm still very, very motivated. Otherwise, I wouldn't race. I'm certainly motivated enough to win races. And getting pole, that was a demonstration of what I can do. But it would be a wait until round 9 in Albi before Opel would actually manage to win a race. Eric Hellery, who was on pole position for the race, should have won it, but more problems for him. Saw him drop out of the race. So it was Alain Cudini, the veteran teammate, 48 years old, who won overall in front of Jacques Lafitte. So a 1-2 result for Opel and their first win. Those problems for Eric Hellery. A great shame for the 27-year-old who has certainly made a name for himself in touring cars now and was several times very much the pace setter in the French Touring Car Championship in 1994. But Cudini taking the win on this occasion with Lafitte in second place. Well, Cudini was able to go on to take another win at Montlhéry later in the year, but unable to take the battle to Peugeot in the final round at Ledenal, and Opel beaten in the championship. Alain Cudini finished second in the driver's title, Eric Hellery fifth, and Jacques Lafitte finished in 8th place in the series. The third constructor in the French Touring Car Championship that had a certain amount of success this year was BMW. They had a difficult season, the cars run by the Orica team, Hugh de Chaunac, and the cars struggling a little bit in the early part with their disadvantage weight-wise to the front-wheel drive cars, and no aerodynamic package at this part of the year as well to help them. During those first few rounds, Yvan Muller and Jean-Marc Gounon, the two drivers, were fairly consistent with the best results in Nogaro, where Muller won the second heat and finished second overall. Well, Muller also finished in third place at Pau and Le Vigeon, but hoping for more success later. Team manager Hugh de Chaunac saying, we'll have a new rear wing homologated by the end of June. It should enable us to fight for victory, as in 1993. The weight penalty that we're suffering at the moment is just too much, and we have to wait until it is modified.
Nous pénalise abusivement et c'est pour ça qu'il faut qu'on la modifie.
Well, it was the Croix-en-Tournois round, the round 7 of the championship, when BMW were able to run with 25 kilograms less front-wheel drive cars, correspondingly a little bit heavier, and the new aerodynamic package fitted to the BMWs as well. And as in the rest of Europe, it saw an upturn in fortunes for the BMW touring cars. Pole position at this race was Eric Hellery in the Opel, but once again he was out of luck. Just didn't seem to be going his way in 1994. Problems for Yannick Dalmas as well, whose bonnet flew open at the beginning of the race. And so Yvan Muller took a third and a first, taking the overall win for BMW, the first overall win for them in the season. Paul Ricard Le Castellet for the 8th round. It's the home circuit for the Orica team. Yvan Muller took pole position in front of Simtech Grand Prix driver Jean-Marc Gounon, his teammate. And they both take one victory apiece here at Paul Ricard, taking first and second overall. Muller taking the overall win, Gounon second, with Laurent Aïello in third. Excellent success for BMW and the Oreca team. At that point in the season, Yvan Muller was just 15 points down from Laurent Aïello, and it was further reduced to just 11 points after the Albi round. But the end of the season didn't go quite so well for the team, and Yvan Muller ended up finishing in 3rd place in the championship, and Jean-Marc Gounon in 6th. By the way, news about BMW in the British Touring Car Championship next year. It's been confirmed that David Brabham will be joining the BMW team in the British Touring Car Championship for 1995. Well, back to the French series, and it was Philippe Gache driving the Ford Mondeo in the 1994 championship. He finished 7th in the overall standings in the end, and Ford finished 4th in the manufacturer's race. He had a good result in the first round of the championship at Nogaro. He finished 3rd overall at that race with a 1993 Mondeo. But the rest of the year would not go quite so well for the man who finished 6th place in the 1993 championship, driving for Alfa Romeo. Well, he says, at this point of the year, we're very satisfied because we're late in our development. We think we have a lot of potential with the car, and we're very happy to be so competitive so soon. Well, these were his words after he qualified 2nd at the 2nd round at Magny-Cours with a car that was only finished a few days before the actual race itself. But the rest of the season wasn't going to go so well. They had reliability problems and bad luck, and he never managed to get onto the podium again. What he did do, however, was entertain the crowds with his forceful driving style. The man who's got a lot of experience, proving that he also has a lot of car control. Well, it wasn't a very good season for the cars coming into the French Touring Car Championship for the first time. The Seat Toledos, running 3 cars for Fabien Gilroy, Olivier Thévenin, and Jean-Denis Delatraz, the man who took part in the final Grand Prix of the year at Adelaide. The best they could do in the championship was 11th for Gilroy. It was probably a bit too much taking on running 3 cars in their debut year in the championship, and perhaps next year they'll reduce the number of cars in an effort to make it more competitive. We end our look at the French Supertourisme of 1994 with a few special awards. First of them for Arnaud Trevissiol, driving a private BMW. He finished 10th in the championship overall. His best result was 5th place in the 2nd heat at Ledenop, which was the last round of the series. It was an excellent effort from Arnaud Trevissiol, and certainly made him someone that the works teams were looking at later in the year. Another special award for Marc Sourde, the man who won the 1992 French Championship. He entered a private VW Vento since the Pau race, and he had a difficult year with 6 retirements in a row, but at the end of the year he got a 7th place in Montléry. The Vento as a touring car only being raced in France, of course in the UK. The Vento's raced in a special one-make championship, which is seeing more improvements for 1995. We're back with the French race once again, and there was a privateers battle in the French Touring Car Championship called the Independence Trophy, and there were a few good performances, although not as many privateers as would have been wanted. A special mention to the Banduras brothers, who were right up there all the way through the year, entering all the races. The question lies, though, what will happen to the French Touring Car Championship in 1995? Alfa Romeo was set to join the series with Gabriele Tarquini, but they have now announced that he will be racing in Italy instead. Perhaps Alain Prost will be racing a Renault Laguna at times. But there are also controversy about the rules in France, and some people feeling that it's not quite the same rules as the run elsewhere in Europe, where Peugeot were not competitive in Italy and Britain, and yet they were able to take the title in France. Hopefully that will all be sorted out, and we'll see some full grids in 1995. The final championship positions then, Laurent Aïello taking the title